That's silly, man.
Are we live?
You're live, Asim.
Are we live? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the technical faults there, guys. Good job we didn't come out with something stupid. But welcome to BNR, and hope everyone's enjoying their Sunday evening, the bank holiday Sunday evening, and welcome to the Miracle Show. If you believe in miracles, if you don't believe in miracles, you most certainly do now. But if there are any, by chance, because we do get them in, any sort of non-Reds in the building, don't worry about us, because it's a club that prides itself in the biggest miracle in world football ever when it comes to Istanbul. And so this club keeps serving so pieces of dreamland. And that's where we are today, in dreamland. If we've made our way from the clouds in that Newcastle away end on back down to earth, it's still the feeling of what the hell has just happened is still with us. But pinch yourselves, slap yourselves. I know Gene's lost his voice. Do whatever, because Liverpool have won away at Newcastle when the sort of chances and everything else was against them. Whatever was supposed to go wrong went wrong. But Liverpool have walked away from where is it? Is it northeast? It's northeast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Liverpool have come away from northeast with a 2-1 victory, and boy, didn't we enjoy that. Gene, how's your head? How's your arm? How's your nose? How's your ear? How's your every single part of your body? And how's your voice?
It's like it's come back a little bit, man. But honestly, from I don't even know what to say. I think I tweeted saying that's probably the best away game I've witnessed, and I've been lucky to witness a lot of, let's say, decent games over the years. But that was definitely probably one of the best I've ever witnessed in terms of emotion and in terms of how everything unfolded. And we were talking to Jake, and Jake went with us, Asim, and we were just like, you just couldn't write a script like today. It was the perfect written script. We go to Newcastle, we go goal down through a mistake, then we have a man sent off. There's so much up. Everything feels so stacked against us, and then the one man that you just pray and are praying for all every Liverpool fan wants to do well goes. You'll take a point and he gets the first, and you think, you know what, that's enough, just hold out. But then for him to go and get that winner, man, it was just pandemonium. You just, like I said, Asim, you mentioned the word miracles, and that's what this club's all about. And we witnessed just one amazing game of football, and one that, I think Klopp mentioned it, you'll tell your grandkids about. And we were lucky that we were at the Newcastle game and Origi got the winner. And I thought, what, that was the one. But boy, this was just on a different level, and we deserve to give it to them. The gits, man. They peed me off all game. The referee peed me off. Everything peed me off today. But boy, we walked out of that stadium singing with joy, man. And I'm just honestly over the moon. I'm more over the moon with my man Darwin, mate. My man Darwin.
Sarib, pandemonium, it certainly was. And the away end, I've seen a lot of away ends, but I've not seen quite an away end like today. But there was a lot of subplots, let's be honest. And Gene mentioned that Origi winner. What is it with that sort of Saturday, Sunday tea time kickoffs at Newcastle? Eddie Howe still can't. I don't know what his record is, but it's a shocking one against Jurgen Klopp. But again, subplots. Eddie Howe, Anthony Gordon, Evertonian, blue and white. Yeah, that. And Saudi Arabia. There was a bid coming from Saudi Arabia. Upsetting the rhythm of our superstar. And under the lights at Newcastle, with that sort of atmosphere, with that fan base, it is difficult. And whatever could have gone wrong went wrong, because Liverpool, for the first 15-20 minutes, I'd say, look, lost their heads, especially when it comes to someone like Trent. But we'll get to that sort of refereeing decisions and reffing in general. But your sort of thoughts about the team lineup initially, and your general game thoughts, wherever you want to go today, whatever you want to talk about today, you've got full freedom, because I don't care. I don't have an agenda. You can talk about, you can chat shit for an hour. I don't give a crap today.
Look, that was unbelievable. I don't know how to describe the way I was feeling in that game. Like, I've seen Liverpool play some massive games, win some massive finals as well. But the feeling I got today, like people, it was all my rival fans on Twitter. They've been at me the whole week. Oh, you're gonna go Newcastle. You're gonna get pantsed. You're gonna get Aston Villa. You're gonna get Spurs like they did last season. You're not talking now. They're not talking now. They're all quiet. They're all quiet. Oh, St James's Park is the new Anfield. You can't. No one can win there. Da, 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 da. We haven't lost in 8 seasons. We haven't lost against Newcastle.
Wow.
Guys were telling. Yeah, the last time we lost actually was 2-0 when Gini Wijnaldum scored those 2 goals in Klopp's first season in charge, first half season in charge, or wherever it was. That's how good our record is against Newcastle. We do not lose against Newcastle. It simply does not happen. Every time Newcastle are a very, very good team. But guess what? We're better.
Sarib Batik says Alisson's save, which Neville couldn't even praise. Forget Gary Neville. We've got our own Neville. You praise him. You praise him. Go on. How Gary Neville should have praised him. Go for it.
I'll have to say Alisson right now is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He is absolutely brilliant. He wins Liverpool point after point after point after point. That save he made in that first half, to save from Almiron, honestly, that is unbelievable. That's one of the best goalkeeping saves I've ever seen. And I've played with some good goalkeepers, Van der Sar, Schmeichel, David De Gea. But that save from Alisson shows how good of a goalkeeper he is. Not only with his feet, his all-round game is brilliant, Alisson. He saves Liverpool so much. He's a brilliant, outstanding, world-class goalkeeper that Liverpool have got. And not many teams in European football have a goalkeeper like Alisson. He saves Liverpool so much. He did it here tonight. Brilliant goalkeeper.
I feel embarrassed sort of applauding you because we've just got used to you that's absolutely nailing Gary Neville every single time. But again, that was unbelievable. And as you can tell from the the comments, that was spot on. It's good to see Kadir. He's been away, hasn't he, Gene?
He's been pretty active on the group, mate.
Oh yeah, he's always active.
Oh, he's a Darwin Nunez fan.
I keep an eye out. I keep an eye out who's in the live chat as well. I have my register, you see. But nice to see Kadir, man. He's one of our own. Gene, Trent, yellow card. What constitutes dissent? What constitutes a foul in the Premier League these days? I couldn't work it out. Joe Linton, I didn't count, but it seemed like about 10 million times that he fouled a player, but he didn't get booked. And Trent got booked. And I need to see it again. I've literally, I think Kieran was asking, when do you guys get back home? I've literally parked up and jumped on. So I haven't even seen the goals. But from where we were up in the clouds, I think it probably got, the comments probably can confirm. I think it was dissent. He threw the ball away, I think. But what constitutes a foul these days? And then I think it had an effect on the Van Dijk decision, where he probably think, you know what, I didn't give the second yellow for Trent. He needs to go now. And why should the Van Dijk, I believe, decision be impacted by when you sort of bottling the first decision? Because let's be honest, that second tackle, or was it a shoulder barge or an elbow into the face? It was a yellow card. But the reffing in general, and we just don't know what's happening with it.
Honestly, Asim, just refereeing in general is an absolute joke. You look at yesterday's decision from the United game and today, and Trent, I believe, when I saw, I think Gordon pushed him out of touch, and I think he was a bit peed off at the time because he got pushed. I thought that was a free kick. The referee didn't give it, but Asim, look, he's our vice captain, right? And he has to understand where he's playing. It's the start of a game. It's going to be fast and furious. It's Newcastle away. What would you expect? It's going to be a fast-paced sort of game. And you have to be clever and understand, look, things are going to happen. Just don't give anyone any sort of reason to get behind your back, all that sort of thing. So just let it be for the first 10-15 minutes. Don't give anyone a reason, or the crowd a reason. And what he did, I know me personally, I haven't seen it, but it didn't look like a yellow card especially the first one. The second one, though, as in, with all due respect, from what we saw, we were like, he's just got away with one. And I've not seen any highlights or anything, guys. So we're just going back what we saw up in the clouds. But it looked like, not an elbow, like he moved his hand towards his face. I don't know exactly what happened at that time, but that should constitute another yellow card and a sending off. So, but my issue at that time isn't, what is Asim, you've just gone to Newcastle. It's a tough game. Yeah. That crowd is going to be up for it. First 15 minutes, just see it out, and then we'll get going. But it just felt like we were ready to go toe to door, fire with fire, from the word go. And whereas I felt as though, if we controlled that situation a lot better. But in terms of refereeing, Asim, it's an absolute joke. Joe Linton, I saw the referee have a word with Joe Linton. Literally 1 minute later, he commits the foul. That surely proves to the referee, right, okay, I need to give him a yellow card. He gave him no yellow, which doesn't even make sense. And it really, really pissed me off at the time, because this referee was becoming, you just felt as though, we've got 2 red cards in 2 games. They got something in for us, and then you see the flipping easy, cheap shot fouls and penalties that United got yesterday, which I didn't think was a penalty. And the referee in a whole has become a flipping joke and a farce. And we've seen it with VAR, we've seen it with generally the refereeing this season. So look, Trent, yeah, I get it. Maybe it was a half yellow from what people are saying, especially the first one. But boy, the refereeing is a joke at this meantime.
Sarib, you obviously had benefit of watching some replays at home. Was it a second? Was it a red card, a straight red? But generally, the officiating, I'm just scratching my head because I don't know what's happening. You see these videos of it, Harvard Webb meeting the likes of Gary Neville and Carragher telling the fans what's happening, what they're trying to do. But it feels like they're just moving the meter just too much every single year, and it feels to me that they're trying to make footballers into robots. And just do not make footballers into robots, because you'll just kill the game. You'll kill the passion. You'll kill the intensity out of the game. And I think it was the initial foul as well. I think Danny mentioned it on Trent. And this is why probably Trent threw the ball away, because, he was frustrated because it was a clear foul. But if you throw the ball away, where do you draw the line? Is that a straight yellow? But what about Joe Linton, who's made 5-6 fouls and he's still not got a yellow? It's that consistency and the balance that are driving people like myself and the fans in general mad.
Yeah, look, we sit here every week, we talk about football amongst ourselves, with our friends, with our families, with whoever it is. And the one topic of conversation always comes down to the referees, and it's getting really annoying because the game should not be about the refs. It should be about 2 heavyweights.
Exactly.
Liverpool going at it. The fact that this whole game is going to be now based on red cards and should have Trent been sent off is going to be a different game. It's just so annoying. It happened last week when McAllister was wrongfully sent off, and obviously they overturned that. But it's just every week the same nonsense over and over and over again. For me, they change the rules every year. There's no sort of proper guidelines, because at the end of the day, refereeing is all opinionated anyway. So one ref may give a foul, another ref might not give it. So there's no way of actually kind of tracking it down correctly, because if VAR is all down to opinion. There's no supercomputer or an AI to tell you if that decision is correct or not, like we have with goal line technology. That's clear. I don't know how they're going to fix this problem, but they need to fix it, because it's getting repetitive and it's killing the game. I don't like to use this term, but for me, the game's gone very, very soft. It's like everything you do now is a foul. You walk, you run, you trip over, it's a foul. You fall over lightly on the box, is a foul. Where's the consistency? And what makes no sense to me? I think the referees, I know Jurgen Klopp has had his tiffs with refs in the past, especially Paul Tierney. And I remember in the Spurs game, I don't know the ref's name, but the person he was the fourth official for when Klopp celebrated in front of his face when he ran and he pulled his hammy. Maybe that is coming to play because he's got a bit of tiff with Paul Tierney, and that referee who was the fourth official may have thought Jurgen Klopp got in his face, so he wanted to get one over him. I don't know. The fact we're sitting here debating this is absolute nonsense, because we should be talking about how the game was instead we're talking about referee decision. It's really annoying.
Yeah, forget the refs, Sarib, but I feel that Liverpool just made their mind up that they have to play football. We got enticed into a bit of a ping pong with Newcastle's type of play, and this is what Newcastle want. They want teams to turn up, whether they are their ground or when Newcastle turn up at the away ground. They want sort of the intensity, the sort of physicality in the game, and I think Liverpool got enticed and started matching and tried to go punch for punch, and it's not going to work out when you got the likes of McAllister and Endo, who's obviously making his first start. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The likes of even Tonali was getting stuck in, Bruno Guimaraes providing the control in midfield, and then you've got Joe Linton being how many times did I swear at him today, Gene? I forgot. He was annoying me today because he was bloody winning the ball all the time. But you don't want to match, in terms of physicality with them. We need to play football, and it was a blessing in disguise, I may say so, that Liverpool went down to 10 men because they were forced to play football. We actually were a lot more organised, and we started playing. Obviously, we suffered in large parts of the game, especially just after half time before the changes came. but Liverpool started moving the ball around. But it's the irony that Liverpool's controllers in Trent and McAllister were probably really bad for about 20, 30 minutes. And that sort of epitomized Liverpool's play on the first, 25, 30 minutes. They just couldn't get going.
Dude.
All after you ask you, yeah, look,
That was for you, Sarib.
That was for you,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. No, you might as well answer them because you already started them.
No, look, in terms of Asim, I completely agree with you. In terms of the start, we really struggle in terms of getting a grip with the actual game. Let's say our most creative players, McAllister's, Trent's, like as you mentioned, we didn't see them do anything. I remember I was looking at each other and thinking, flip hands, McAllister had an actual real touch of the ball. We are actually complaining that, he's maybe hugging onto the ball a bit too long. And it felt as though that, this was a game that we were going to us losing sort of battle, because we're playing the way Newcastle want us to play. Our players, we're not about the fighting sort of football. We want to play fast-paced football on the deck, not flipping toe-to-toe for go in terms of physicality and all that sort of stuff. So look, we fell for the trap. We did. Yeah. You know what? We fell for the trap, but they weren't amazing. I thought we were okay, but we fell for the trap. Saying that though, Asim, I think once, even like there was at the start, they didn't really create many chances in terms of they might have had one or two couple of chances, major half chances, let's say. But generally speaking, even though we fell for the trap, they didn't create much. I'm not saying we created much. I think we did decent with the Darwin Nunez, a Diaz chance where he did really well to come inside, Trippier go down the line, where I felt as though he should have hit it with his left, but I think he tried to poke it with his right instead. I think the game, Asim, completely changed on its head when obviously that mistake came. Then we saw a completely different game, and in a crazy sort of way, I thought we handled it well, because then the game was going to be about, let's see if we can control the game for the next 10 minutes, take it into half time, that sort of thing. But then they got their goals, so it was a weird game, especially in the first half from a Liverpool perspective.
Sorry, can I just add something to that?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, we had 10 men for the majority of the game from the 23rd, 4th minute when Van Dijk got sent off, and obviously, I think we look better with 10 than 11, and I'll tell you why. Maybe because Newcastle realized that we've got one less body on the pitch, and they decided to push more of their players more forward, which allowed more space for the likes of Szoboszlai. Because at times you saw the in midfield, especially, they were just cutting us open. But then that left us space to go and counter on them, which is why I think that those Nunez goal happened. They both happened from turnovers. Like Newcastle went forward and we won the ball back, and we go down the other end and score. And because of the Newcastle pushing so many bodies up to try and get that second goal to kill the game off, that allowed us to score those two chances. But I think we'll get into that a bit more depth later. But I think it's hard to say. We'll give special mention to some players, but honestly,
I want a question to you. In terms of the first half, because we were mentioning, and you mentioned it to me, then you felt as though we were playing two through the middle, and we weren't getting the ball out wide.
Yeah, look, Salah was obviously trying to, play in those pockets and sort of take Dan Burn into those sort of pockets where he could turn him and attack the box. Obviously, he was hugging the touchline and, sort of keep things ticking over, as you have to do in this formation, especially. But I felt, and like you said, I kept on telling you, we were just going down through the middle too many times. And it's not only, if you're going to go through the middle, you just need to pick your moments. And I felt like Trent and McAllister, those are the guys who are going to break the lines for us. Even on the best of days, or even the bad days, they are the guys who will break the lines for us. And we just don't recycle play enough. We sometimes have to go sideways to go and create the angles. And I think there was too much of a tendency to go and and this is what we became a bit too much of a problem with. And Newcastle loved it because there were plenty of turnovers. And these are the likes of sort of Joe Linton and Trippier bombing up and down that right-hand side wanted, and it became a Newcastle game. And I felt like we've got the footballers, we've got Szoboszlai, we've got McAllister, we're a lot better team than them. And we've got even 5 attackers who played all their part. Obviously, Gakpo probably not as much as the other 4. But, if we needed to make it a football game, and after 10 minutes, and just like Sarib was saying, we started playing football because we had no choice. Obviously, like I said, there were moments, them guys squeezing us, but those 2 substitutions that really, really changed the game. It wasn't a Gakpo type of game because they were squeezing us on the halfway line. And when Van Dijk, I was telling you guys during the game, when Van Dijk goes, you've got a defense that can't really, get out. So you've got Gakpo on the halfway line. You've got a defensive line that can't really beat the press. And it was dreamland for Newcastle. But those substitutions, and you have to give Jurgen Klopp his flowers today. The guy who doesn't a lot get the credit in terms of his time, man management or game management in terms of substitutions during the game. Today, you have to give him credit because he changed it and he made that change around about 60 minutes. And Elliott and Jota gave us a lot going the other way. And Gakpo obviously is brilliant. He connects the play on many, many times. But I think we needed something different. And because when you're down to 10 men, you need something out of nothing. And we got that today in Darwin Nunez, Elliott, Jota.
Another quick thing though, look, when I tweeted this, when I saw obviously with the red card when it happened, I actually wanted Diaz to stay on the pitch. And I know, look, Klopp did amazingly well with the substitutions and the tactics after that, and fair play and hats off to him. But how did you feel in terms of what happened then? Because Gakpo didn't do real much anyway. And Diaz, we know at the time, he's a match sort of winner. He's capable of turning it on, beating a man and getting us that goal. And the same with Salah. I wanted Salah to stay, I wanted Gakpo to stay on. But Klopp took Diaz off and kept Gakpo on.
Gene's hindsight's a great thing. At that time, when you've just look, Diaz, I think had a good start. I think he took a Trippier down the wing and had a snapshot and went for a corner. He had a good start, but there was a little moment that you said he went down and there was a bit of a concerning moment. He did. And he was limping for about 5-6 seconds. And I maybe thought, the medical team or said something to Klopp, and maybe they thought, what, we're down to 10 men. I'm not saying they didn't believe to win because of this Liverpool team and this Liverpool manager always believes. And like we've been talking about, we're a club that's used to miracles. But maybe it was something to do with, him limping away for the next, 5-10 minutes. But look, hindsight's a great thing. At that moment of time, generally speaking, when you're down to 10 men, you do need a focal point up the attack. And Gakpo is that. But the way they squeezed us, Newcastle, it became too much of a situation for Gakpo. There was so much space the other way, and we just took advantage of it because we brought the right people in. But in terms of at that moment, I can understand that because when you've got 60, 70 minutes to play in the game, you do need a person who can hold the ball, a natural, physical a guy down the center. And Diaz isn't that guy. And Salah obviously did play that role because Gakpo was at times wide on the wing. In the press off the ball, but at least Salah has got those shoulders and can hold the ball up, and maybe Diaz has not played that role. So look, hindsight's and you have to say it worked in the end because it was all about getting to the 80th minute.
Look, Asim, it was at that time. Look, my issue isn't after that because the substitutions after that were brilliant, and in terms of the Jotas, the Elliots, the Darwins, that was perfection from Jurgen Klopp. And I'm not here to have a go at him. I'm just saying at that precise time. In the first half when they're sending off happened, that's what my issue was at the time. Not what obviously happened after that in terms of the game management, and fair play to Klopp in terms of what he did then.
And a big shout out, Sarib. I don't know if you've met Jake.
Go on, Jake. I have to give you your flowers today.
The beauty about going and traveling all over to watch the Reds, you meet Reds from all over the world, and we met Jake, he's not a friend, he's become part of the family now, and we traveled with him for the first time. We met him 2 years ago in Paris in Burger King. Burger King, and we've become really, really, it was close mates, but now he's a brother to us, and like I said, a part of the family, and we traveled with him today, Sarib, and a big shout out. All he kept on saying is get to 80, because that is the only way we're going to win this game. And he celebrated the 80th minute like a goal, by the way. He punched me. He goes, 80! I thought, what the hell? What am I watching? I looked at the clock. It was 80th minute. Within 30 seconds, we scored a goal. So, Jake, my brother, you got your flowers today and a big salute. And he called it. Because, Sarib, that was the only way we were going to win the game. Our backs were against the wall. We suffered. We put our sleeves. We were absolutely knackered. And just like how Matip came off the pitch, is this how every single member of our team, even the fans were knackered. I'm knackered, right? Boy, when you get to that 80th minute, Newcastle know you don't fuck around with someone like Liverpool because Liverpool pounce on you when they get an opportunity.
Jake, congratulations, mate. You saw it, but you might not hear from me, but I saw it too. I was no. Credit to you. But I was screaming at my TV. Me and my brother was watching the game. I was like, oh, if we get to the 75th minute, the last 15, we got a chance here. We can nick a draw here. We can nick a draw. You put the pace of Nunez on the pitch, Salah, we got a chance. We really have a chance. We really have a chance. And then maybe at that time it was false hope, but I always thought if it stayed 1-0 in the game that late, Newcastle will push bodies forward to try and get the second goal because we have 10 minutes, which will allow us to transition and score at the other end. That's how Nunez got both of his goals. Both of his goals came from transitions, and both of them were very good finishes in the same corner. And no, credit to Jake, but honestly, I keep alluding to the same thing, but that is one of the best games I've ever watched Liverpool play. Like the feeling I got in that match, like it can't be top. He's the one player, Nunez, who I want to do well in the team. And he comes off the bench and scores 2 goals. We've been going on about Nunez. He needs to pattern his finishing. He needs to do this. He needs to fix his finishing. Once he gets one, he'll get another one. And that's exactly what happened. Unless hopefully we've got a 30 goal a season centre forward in our team now. That's what we needed, and we've got it. I hope that he can kick on now, because I think all of us here, the comments as well, the whole of Liverpool, we want Nunez to do well. We want to see him play, and maybe today he's taking his chance.
Gina was going to leave the best till last, but now that Sarib has mentioned Darwin, it's only right. You wanted him sold.
Shut the hell up! Don't give me the crap here. The comments know what I think of Darwin Nunez and you bloody clowns.
In private, he has wanted Darwin Nunez.
It was me who put him in my starting 11. I came on the show the other day and I said, you know what, start Darwin Nunez on Sunday. You love a bloody saying to me, no, Gakpo, this, look, with all due respect with Gakpo, but he had to start. And I'm saying, do Nunez, he had the preseason. Jota, I didn't feel was having playing there, but boy, my Darwin Nunez came to the fold today, man. And boy, did he come. He showed everybody. Look, he's arrived. And that's what, Taz mentioned. Nunez has arrived. He's definitely arrived now.
He could have easily got a hat-trick today, didn't he? Because there was a moment.
He's so lucky with that touch, man.
There was a bad touch, but it gave us a sign. Because it gave us a sign what's coming next. Because we couldn't believe it, how much space like they had him behind.
You know what? And I was mentioning, in terms of Newcastle, when we went down to 10 and when there's about 30 minutes to go, Newcastle shit bricks. The reason why they shit bricks is the onus was on them to actually go and win the game. 11-11, it's a 50-50 game. They didn't know what to do. They actually didn't know what to do at times and you felt it within their crowd at times. That crowd, they were winning 1-0, yet it wasn't as crazy as we've seen it in the past, where they, let's say they're the sort of underdog, but now the pressure was on them to go and perform. As soon as we switched it, and when we went Jota, Nunez, and Salah up front, and we had an actual threat going forward, you could tell they were shitting bricks at times. There was something in the air which they felt. They didn't like the fact that they were not the underdog and that the onus was on them to actually go and win the game. And I think that worked in our favor then, because
we had it last year at the same ground.
Yeah, exactly. And there was something there that I felt as though, you know what, there's something, and you know what, look, Jake said it. Jake was like, I know Mickey mention his name, but I have to give it to him. And he was like, "Dog, it's gonna happen. Just relax. We're gonna score. I'm there thinking, where's this bloody goal gonna come from?"
Sorry, but look, everyone wants to start. I don't want to sort of, burst the balloon now. We have to provide a bit of perspective that, look, Darwin will get his chance in this team, no doubt about it. Whether it comes against Villa, I'm not, sort of against that. But I think you have to pick Darwin because of the type of player he is. You have to pick his moments and you have to manage him correctly with and against the right team. And today, I wouldn't have sort of been against Darwin Nunez. Obviously, I was probably playing sort of safe with Gakpo. If he started, I was backing him. But he was absolutely brilliant. Sarib, when I start saying absolutely, I'm trying to be you. I'm
trying to be Gary Neville. You're trying to be me. That is trying to be Gary Neville.
There's a bloody chain going on. I'm thinking to myself, I'm sounding like Sarib here, but Sarib, Darwin Nunez, as the comments state, he was brilliant today. And you know what? He needed that. And this was a massive, massive moment in his short Liverpool career, because it's not been a good start. He's not been played. There were some reports of him going down the tunnel, not showing sort of the right attitude. But you know what? I'm so glad for him.
No, you're bang on with that. There you go. You're absolutely bang on with that. With Nunez, it's tricky because I don't want him to get the kind of like Divock Origi treatment where he is much more suited to come off the bench and score than start and score, because Origi's record off the bench was a lot better than when he was starting in terms of goal scoring. Now, I don't want it to become a thing where Nunez becomes that type of player, which is why I want to see him given a proper chance, because this is a new Liverpool team with the likes of McAllister, with the likes of Szoboszlai, with the creativity from midfield now. It could be a lot different to what we had last season, because we didn't have that dynamic from midfield last season. And I know we haven't seen its full potential just yet, but I think if you add someone like Nunez who can finish, I think it could be real problems for this league. Because Darwin Nunez will score goals against any team in Europe. That's not a lie. We saw it last season. He was scoring against Newcastle, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Arsenal. He can do the lot. And it was all types of goals. He runs in behind. He does the correct things. Our issue with Nunez was always, how is he going to get in this team if Gakpo, Jota, Salah, because Klopp started fancying the kind of false nine role again, where we thought he was moving away from that. He kind of transitioned back into that with Gakpo. But I don't think you can leave Nunez out, because even if he doesn't score, he causes a problem, and he's a chaos player. Well, that's the word we associate with Nunez, chaos, and that's what he creates. And sometimes it might work, sometimes it may not, but we got to stick with it, because that's a guaranteed goal scorer in our team. That he just needs confidence. He's a confidence player, and I will hold my hands up. I will hold my hands up.
To interject, Sarib, just to ask you a question. Yeah, 100%. He's a chaos type of player. But if he's going to provide chaos to the other team, don't you think he sort of sometimes provides a bit of lack of control and chaos to our defensive shape as well? But I think Darwin Nunez has definitely got the creativity, just like you mentioned, behind him. But I think someone like Endo today, who obviously sometimes for that, at least, for the best parts of the game, whatever he played most of the game, passed him by. Not totally his fault. He's obviously not match fit. He's going to take a bit of getting used to. He came on last week with 30 minutes to go. Wasn't supposed to be coming in. That's 60 minutes to go, actually. Wasn't supposed to be coming into that sort of situation. And then today, to go away to Newcastle, I thought the situation was a bit too big for him. But
down to 10 men again.
Again, 10 men again. 10 men again.
Yeah, you mentioned it whilst you were up there. The lad must be thinking, do these guys play with 10 men every week? What's going on here?
Exactly. But I think going back to Darwin, Sarib, Darwin is that type of player. And maybe this is the reason why Gakpo is getting the nod at the moment, is because we don't have stability in the six. Once we get the stability and the control in the six, and then you've got the creative players in front of them, then you can risk something, a bit of verticality, a bit of sort of direct play with Nunez. At the moment, we don't have that. Do you think there's an element to that?
No, I absolutely agree with you. Last season was a lot different to how this season is looking. Now we've got that kind of control from midfield, whereas last season we didn't, which is why I think it was easier to play Nunez in the team, because last season it's very hard to say what kind of structure and what kind of dynamic we were trying to play. This season it's a bit different, because we've got a lot more control in midfield now with the ball players of Szoboszlai and McAllister. I think it's a lot easier to transition Darwin Nunez into this team. Honestly, Darwin Nunez doesn't get a run of games. Like for me, even last season, he didn't play many games as the Liverpool number 9. Played a lot from the left-hand side. And I think that does suit his game as well when you're playing, if you want to play with someone that can be like a wide forward. I think Nunez, he's good at that, because he's done that in Benfica when he scored those 2 goals at Anfield. He was playing off the left-hand side. So he's definitely a player to look for this season, because there was times last season I was looking at Darwin Nunez. He'd make runs from the left, but he'd always transition to the box, because his knack is to stay in the middle. He's a number 9. That's what, regardless of how good he can play out wide, he's a 9. He's a goal scorer. He's a number 9. That's why we've given him the number 9 shirt, that's why he came on and scored those 2 goals. He's a number 9. He's a striker. And I think if you give him the correct service, he will deliver. Regardless of his chaos or not, he's a goal scorer. And he will guarantee you goals if he plays. And I think it's maybe time that he gets a run of games to show what he's about. And maybe this is the start of that. But I do agree. I do understand your point that he may offer loss of control in the team. But now I think that we've got more control in midfield. I think it won't be as big of an issue as it was last season.
Yeah. Gene, it seems like he might have a role in away games more than home games.
Yeah, because I think obviously, the away games, there's a lot more onus on the home side to come forward, which would hopefully allow Darwin to get in behind, play on the last man sort of thing. So it suits his game more than, let's say, a home game where a lot of the sides will probably play with a low block and, will obviously sit back sort of thing, and which probably then might not suit his game. But look, you mentioned Gakpo and he'll offer us more with that 6. But from what he's actually offered us so far has been jack shit. who hasn't really offered us anything. If he gave us something, which we think, okay, fair play, he's offered us this in this game, maybe he hasn't really done anything for me right now. And to be fair, 3 games in now, and fair, look, caveat this with that, he hasn't always played in his preferred position. And today was probably his first game where he was going to play as a proper 9. And that went, let's say, up the wall within the first 30 minutes sort of thing. But I still expect more from Gakpo. And I haven't seen anything that I saw in pre-season, which is because I'm a big fan of Gakpo, and I genuinely want to believe that he'd do really, really well this season. But maybe he's going to take him a few more games to get into it. But whereas with Darwin, Asim, when he's in pre-season and going into now, when you've got a player like a Darwin on song, you have to keep him on song. You have to keep him in the team. Ask me personally, he's doing well. You go with him against Will and say, okay, mate, go on. You deserve this chance. You've proven to us. Go in the next game and show what you're about. And if it doesn't, no problem. You can bring him on and back off, and fine. I don't have any issues with that. I'm not Gakpo. I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything. It's just hasn't done it yet this season. And there's you can't scare away from that. So if a player's doing well, give him his chance. So if Darwin's doing well, you give him his chance. He's at number 9. He's a number 9 for a reason. Give him his chance. Let him go against Villa, and hopefully he bags a brace, and then nobody will be saying if Darwin should be starting the game after.
Gene, you mentioned Liverpool's number 9. We've heard that chant before. Vicky was on the phone to me. He goes, I saw similarities with Fernando Torres today. That movement, the lack of technical ability, but he compensates it going the other way. The chaos and the eye for goal and his instinctive play. And when he's on song, we saw the composure. We're not supposed to see it because last year he was getting into this position and he was snatching on shots. Yeah. He was snatching, trying too hard maybe. But today, in those 2 big, massive moments, he came through. But I thought it was a brilliant shot with the similarities of,
Fernando wasn't the best technical. We all know he wasn't that. He was. He's probably he didn't have the pace as Nunez either. He was a brilliant footballer, don't get me wrong. But I think in terms of he had a slightly better in terms of dribbling with the ball, Fernando did. But them finishes today just showed you how good he was. And this is one thing that I've actually had to go with Darwin was when we actually signed him. I thought the one thing that he had was he could put the ball in the back of the net from what we'd seen him against goals and thingy. And last season, there was times where he scored a few goals, but I didn't feel like he wasn't a sort of a natural finisher. Whereas today, them two are like world-class finishes. Getting in there, bang, it was in. Second one again, bang. And when he went through in the second time, I knew he was going in as him. I didn't doubt him for once. I didn't doubt him because of his first goal. He's a confidence type of player. And you just feel as though there's something in the air with Darwin right now, and these 2 goals will do him a world of good. Confidence will be sky high. I don't want to drain that confidence. Come on, it's just one. He's been a match winner. Hopefully, if he goes into the next game, I want him to start the next game. If he starts, and imagine he scores again, and we win again, the lad's gonna be on. He's gonna be on a bit of a roll. So I don't want to take that away from him right now.
But Asim, before you go on. I want to say about Nunez is like what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say now. What was I going to say?
You tell me.
What I was going to say. I was going to say something about
whilst you're thinking, been a few. Whilst you're thinking, and you can come back to Darwin as well because we've got all night today. I told you can talk about anything. The agenda is going from here to here, to there today. Talk about what you want. We made some comparisons with Torres. Maybe you wanted to share them, but some questions in the comments saying, what did you make of Endo's performance today? General thoughts on him?
I don't want to judge him based on that because that was a very difficult circumstance to come in. Being 10 men again, it's very hard to judge him. But he didn't set the world. Like he looked like he was getting bullied in the midfield. But like you expect that from Newcastle, they've got dogs in that midfield that are just going to keep running and running and running and running. I don't blame the guy. He's been here like what, a week and a half now. He's probably had a couple training sessions. That's his first start. I don't want to judge him on that, but he wasn't particularly great. But I don't think he was bad, especially in the circumstances that he came into the team again was not ideal. But I guess we're going to have to judge him based on what we see of him in the future. But I don't think he can be a starter for Liverpool. He just doesn't look like physical enough to play that 6 role. He doesn't look commanding. He doesn't look like he can just go run through a play like prime Fabinho used to do. Yeah. And I've always been keen on getting a destroyer in, and he doesn't look. Maybe he can prove me wrong, but I think he's more of like a squad option rather than a starting option. But we've got a couple of days left in the market. Let's see if we pull our wallet out.
Yeah, in that first 30 minutes, Gene, we needed a destroyer, but Endo's not a destroyer. He's more of a neat footballer. And then we had no choice but to play football. So he grew into the game slightly, but he's that kind of guy that you bring on and keep things ticking. And today, especially when we were getting involved in a fight with them, he's just not that type of player where he was getting rolled, he was getting out muscled. I think once through the middle, he engaged and he came off second best. But he will grow, and let's be honest, he hasn't had hardly any training time with Liverpool. He was probably busy with the medical and stuff for 2-3 days. Then he came back last week, having hardly any time on the training field. And then today, one of the most difficult grounds to go in the Premier League. And then within 30 minutes, we're down to 10 men again. So, he has had a bad start in terms of personal performances, but in terms of the team hasn't helped him.
100% the team hasn't helped him, but he came in. And we were all happy that he came in also because we needed a 6. He's been thrown right into the deep end, and let's face it, Asim, Newcastle with that midfield, that's away to Newcastle. It's probably going to be one of the hardest games that he will face all season, because that's a difficult midfield to play. They've got practically everything in that midfield, and I'll be honest, I was really, really impressed with Tonali today. The way his passing ability is fantastic. He runs up and down, and they've got every attribute in that midfield. And he struggled. I'm going to be honest. I felt he struggled. Yes, he improved slightly, but he struggled in that game. But it makes it even more reason, let's say, for us to actually go and buy number 6, because he isn't. People can tell us that he's going to be our 6, guys. He is not our 6. Number 6 to start every single game is just not that level what's required right now. Yes, it's going to take him time to adjust to the Premier League coming from there. Yes, he's just been thrown into the deep end. He's only had a week with us, but he's simply not up to scratch to be a Liverpool number 6, because the way we play with 1-6, Asim, you have to be unbelievable in that position. That's another problem. You have to be, I'm not saying Rodley level, maybe a level or 1 or 2 below. You can't be 3 or 4, because then we're just going to get out fought and outplayed. And I felt as though at times he just tried a bit too hard. And you mentioned he tried to engage a few times where he didn't need to, came out second best. Look, I don't want to go too hard on the kid. He's come and just joined. He's come through in a difficult period for Liverpool, but we need to buy a 6, and we've got 5-6 days, whatever it is, to actually go and sort out midfield, because I'm not having the fact that we're not getting any another 6 before the window closes.
You're on mute, Asim.
I was just about to say, if we're not going to go hard on Endo, we can most certainly go hard on Newcastle. Because I thought there was been calls of Newcastle are overrated and this and that, and I just wanted to see. They had a bad start. I think they were shy. It wasn't a 1-0 scoreline against City last week, and today as well. In terms of patterns of play, Eddie Howe, he's a decent coach, but he's not, for me, he's not at De Zerbi level. And the patterns of play for me is very, very predictable. You exactly saw what they were trying to do, especially from when Trent got booked. They were trying to overload that area by sacrificing Joe Linton to the left on the ball and then creating these overloads. And they were trying to shift Liverpool with the switch from Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes or anyone else and create the overlap from Trippier down the right. That is their sort of predictable pattern of play. And I thought Liverpool were decent at maybe not the first 20 minutes of getting hold of it. Once we came into the game, we got engineered a bit more control into the game. Liverpool were a lot better at sort of having Newcastle in front of them. I can't really remember them where they really sort of cut us open. It was down the sort of sides. But when you're down to 10 men, they are going to have those sort of moments, but they weren't slicing us open because Liverpool were very compact and it was a predictable patterns of play. And I thought Newcastle, and I've been given Eddie Howe and Newcastle in general their flowers over the last 12 months. I thought Liverpool, they've been really, really aggressive and intense. But today, maybe, the coaches have really worked them out over the summer, checked out what they're doing. But that's what the difference for me is between a good coach and a great coach, is you're going to keep on refreshing and evolving. And maybe Newcastle haven't really evolved over the summer.
I don't agree with that necessarily in terms of how Newcastle that, especially when you said Eddie Howe's not De Zerbi level. I think Eddie Howe's done an incredible job with Newcastle in obviously with the funding that he's got as well. But that does not dispute that he's a good coach. Like he finished top half with Bournemouth. Like, let's be honest, he finished top half with. Well, he's a good coach, and he got Newcastle from the relegation zone to the Champions League in one season. So they're already ahead in their project. I think the issue now with Newcastle is that their squad as a whole is not strong enough, especially to compete on the Champions League. I think 2 games a week is going to cost them, but they have had a hard start to the season. They played Aston Villa. I know they pantsed Villa, but they played the champions and they played Liverpool. Those are hard 3 games to go, and 2 of those games they didn't win last season. They didn't beat City at Etihad. They didn't beat Liverpool at Anfield or St James's Park. So I think it's a bit hard to judge Newcastle based on this performance and against Man City, because they are playing teams that that beat them last season. So I think again with Newcastle, we're gonna have to see how they progress during the season. And I think when you go about, they have one pattern of play. I think they have to do that because they're at home. They have to get the crowd behind them. They have to play on the front foot. Otherwise, then you know how the Geordies are. They're gonna get on your back, and we saw that when they pushed Mike Ashley at the club. They want Newcastle to win. They're a big club, and Liverpool were there for the taking. So I don't see an issue with it. We were very easy to play against Liverpool. We saw it against Chelsea, saw it against Bournemouth. Newcastle were a lot better than both of those teams at this moment in time. So maybe they look there like that. But sometimes coaches get it wrong. How many times have you sat and said Klopp gets it wrong?
I watched Newcastle today, and considering like what I thought I'd see from Newcastle, I didn't see it. I'll be honest with you. The fact that the way you were talking to me about this, why let's say their holding player is Bruno Guimaraes, and it should be somebody like a Joe Linton, not Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes should be playing further forward. I didn't, in terms of attacking threat, I expected there to be more threat coming from them. And in terms of a unit, and yeah, it might take might take them a bit more time, but I didn't see a side that I'd think, from where they finished last season with the players that who they're gonna they might bring in the next 4 or 5 days. They might bring somebody else in. I didn't see enough from Newcastle today, if I'm honest, especially against the that went down to 10 men. We were there for the taking. They should have, and I didn't feel as though they took the shackles off us. Said, you know what, let's actually have a proper crack at Liverpool and just go for them. I didn't feel like they were playing within themselves at times, and that's something I didn't think I'd see that today, especially when we were 1-0 down. I was feeling the worst, but I felt as though we were actually calm when we went down to 10. We started keeping the ball a lot better, and I didn't see that crazy Newcastle energy, which I thought I'd see. Maybe because, like I mentioned earlier, they shit the bricks. They didn't know what to do at that time because they thought they're playing Liverpool. They 1-0 up. Now the onus is on us to win, where they didn't know how to play, sort of thing. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see a lot more from Newcastle. But Sarib mentioned they played difficult games so far. Maybe against the lesser sides, we'll see the real Newcastle, which people want to see.
But I think they were also very unlucky because they had chances where they hit the post twice today, Newcastle. And those going, that's 3-0. With this conversation different. Almiron in the second half.
We can turn around and say Salah had a chance. Salah should have scored. There's a challenge. Nunez had a chance. He could have gone on goal. End of the day, keep us there to make a save. And it was unlucky. And it was Almiron's goal. You walked past 4 players because we were 10 men.
We were passive. We were passive at this stage.
Absolutely knackered at that point.
They
walked past me.
They feared our transition. They were scared of our counter strike, and that
100%. They were absolutely shitting bricks of us.
100%. Everyone in this league knows this. Everyone in the league knows this. On the break, Liverpool are probably the best team in transition in European football, in my opinion, because we have the firepower to cause any team in Europe a problem. Our problem is down the other end. So we can score goals. We saw it today. Like the Nunez goal was Liverpool's first shot, I believe, on target in the second half. Goes to show enough.
Yeah, but I thought we defensively we were organized today. We sometimes couldn't bring the ball out. We were struggled at times. They were pressing us, really squeezing us. But I think that's why Jurgen Klopp, made those changes, and it made the game a bit more stretched, and it just played into our hands. Redbird says the like ratio is poor people. Show the love, hit the like button. I can't see how many likes we've got today, but if you're not going to give us a like today, when the Reds have been in the absolute business, when are you going to give us a like? We hardly ask. I put it on the agenda so many times, Sheen, as you know, and I hardly ask. I absolutely forget. So please, stop what you're doing, grab your mouses, hover over your cursors, and hit that like button and get involved in the chat as well and all that good stuff. Gene, I want to talk about Mohamed Salah. There was a lot of noise before the game, even after the game. Jurgen Klopp address the situation again. We were talking about it in the car many times overnight, and he was a topic of discussion. But Mohamed Salah, I thought he didn't get in the score sheet today, but he showed again why he's the ultimate chance sort of creator and the ultimate chance finisher. But it was the ultimate creator today that he was. And sometimes even when he's not having those moments in front of goal, he is an unbelievable player. The connector, even the first goal and the second goal, especially where he came into his own. What a special player that we've got, and we must keep hold of him.
Oh, we're keeping hold of him. Don't you worry about that.
Are we?
Yeah, of course we are, man. He ain't going nowhere. Anyway, in terms of Asim's goal, you know, him and Darwin, I've always said him and Darwin have this little connection. And I've always seen him from last season and this season, and even pre-season, we saw there's something about them. That ball that he played for Darwin was brilliant. But what I wanted to speak about today, Asim, was his hold-up play when he went into the number 9 position, and the amount of times the ball came to him and the ball stuck. And you know, and he relieved us a few times of pressure. And I felt if it was Gakpo or something like that, we would have struggled. Sorry, guys. But when he was the actual 9, I thought he did really well. He ran the channel really well, and he had decent link up play with Jota. He was so unlucky with one of the chances when Jota did really well and played him inside, and the defender blocked it. But that ball for Darwin Nunez' goal, man, it was an incredible pass on his left foot. At first, I thought he played it with his right when I first saw it, but you know, when I first saw him play the ball when I was there. But obviously, when you see the replays, after, what an amazing ball that he played for Darwin. And this is the thing, Darwin will give you that, but you have to have players being able to are good enough to play that ball. And let's face it, McAllister hasn't been at the races so far over the last 3 games. But Salah, man, he's the catalyst. He's the number 1 footballer at this football club, and he's not going anywhere. Jurgen Klopp, I think, come out with it afterwards as well and said, "Forget, you know, he's staying," sort of thing. And I think that the Arab journalists after that, I've saw on Twitter, they're all saying, "Oh, Salah's staying." I go, "Yeah, when's his medical?" I thought the medical was in Newcastle today. There's no medical.
Look, there's a few comments. I'm going to let you speak on Salah, Sarib, but actually, you know what? Go for it, because there's a few comments asking us about to talk about Trent. Why we avoiding, the Trent's performance? We we don't avoid anything. We talk about every single thing, whether it's good or bad. We address it. But Sarib, first about Mohamed Salah, and I thought because of the substitutions, Liverpool put those connectors in the pitch, and Jota, Harvey Elliott were involved in the first goal and the second goal as well, with Salah sort of supplying that unbelievable pass for Darwin Nunez. And when you've got those connectors in place, then you can not just obviously connect the play, but a lot quicker situations were taking place with Liverpool, because they had players at the certain parts of the pitch where you thought, you know what, we've got these. And we gave them something to think about. But for the first 70, 80 minutes, it wasn't there. But I have to keep on referring to the substitutions. They completely changed the game.
I always say, and I've always said this, pace equals problems. Liverpool put direct players on the pitch. They put the Nunez on, they put Salah. And their link up, even we saw it glimpses last season, Salah and Nunez have got very, very good chemistry between those two. The Nunez got the assist for Salah at the Etihad in the Carabao Cup game. I think you lot went to that. Nunez crossed the ball in, and Salah puts it in for that 2-2. And we saw it a lot last season. The link up between them. There was a couple of play him against Leicester. Salah made the pass. Nunez to Salah. Against Southampton as well at home last season. So there's been so many glimpses of Salah and Nunez combining. And today again, the pass from Salah is pinpoint. I will not sell this guy for any money in the world. You can give me 300 million right now. I'm not taking it from Mohamed Salah, because his record is insane. They laud him everywhere you go. You're not finding a player like this right now in European football. Goals, assists, and he wasn't even great today, and he still contributes to a goal.
There you go.
He's the definition of world class. He's irreplaceable. You look at the market we're not even talking about transfers at the moment, but look at the world of the transfers and the right wingers in the market. There's no one on his level. He is levels above anybody in that position. I will not stop him for anyone. And it's just amazing to watch Salah and Nunez combine together. When they're on song, might be the next Suarez and Sturridge.
Wow. But Gene, it's that output that Mohamed Salah always has. Even like I said, he's not, having those situations in front of goal. He will make an impact in the game, and boy, didn't we see it today.
Asim, his numbers speak for himself, don't they? We see every game in, game out. He will always, when there's a party, he always attends. And there's always a moment in the game where you will see Salah do something, whether it be a goal, whether it be assist. He's always there to pick up the pieces. We go down to 10. You need somebody to hold up the ball. Mohamed Salah's ready. We need somebody to chase. He's ready. He's just the ultimate professional, and he's the ultimate winner. And he wants to win in every game, in every record. He wants to break every record, and that's just the player he is. And you just said some things that you just can't buy. You can't buy hunger. Either you have that or you don't. And this guy has he's hungry to win every game. And look, I would never sell Salah regardless. I'd love for him to give us another 2 years, because the players built like Salah can give you. He's only 31. He can go until 35. But of course, we know there's a project in Saudi, and it probably makes sense for him and his family. Personally, he probably will want to go. And if it's time for him to go next season, no problem. We will take him. We will take the money, and he can go with open arms, because he's one of the biggest. He's arguably the best Liverpool player, as for me personally, in the Premier League game. I know there's Steven Gerrard and him, and they're probably two for me anyway. And he walks into the greatest 11 Liverpool side on that right, and a fifth-time all-time goal scorer for this football club, being at this club as a winger for 6 years. The numbers speak for themselves. He's everything that we could ever want. And he's a model professional. Never got injured whilst he's been here. So what can you say about the guy, man? It's just, and I just hope that he carries on, and I think he will, because as long as this is another reason why I'm not a bit peed off with the owners. Not a bit. I am peed off with the owners. Why? Because I feel as though this is Salah's last crack. Yeah, a guy that's given us everything. Come on, man, let him have a crack at it. In terms of we're on 7 points after 3 games. We've been to Newcastle. We've been to Chelsea. 2 of the difficult away games. All we need is a little push over the next 5 or 6 days. And Cara mentioned it as well. A little push, give us it, and let these lads go again, man. They deserve it. They've given everything to this football club. Let's give it whatever they want. Give them their due, and let these boys try and win us the title, because they will give it everything they've got from what we've seen especially over the first few days. Because he's not going to go. I can't see Salah leaving now. We ain't going to let him go. And I think Salah is not a guy that'll create a sort of fuss either. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's go to Trent, because people want to talk about Trent. I'll give my opinion. Look, he was shocking.
He was absolutely shocking.
He lost his head. He should have got sent off. And is he a really bad defender, generally speaking? I don't think so. He's not the best defender. Yeah. But you have to understand, when you talk about Trent, how many times have we mentioned it over the last year or so, even since he's been playing? If he was a more conventional right back, then you have to judge him on pure defending. If he was a Joe Gomez playing in a normal role, you say, you're a defender, your job is to defend, hoof the ball up and go again and make sure you're organized. But if you're going to bring it down to today, 100% he lost his head. He made some rash decisions, and we couldn't get anywhere near him. And we all, as a collective, we struggled for 20, 30 minutes. And then people target our right-hand side anyway, in terms of a structure, in terms of position play as well, because the area that we vacate is the right-hand side, generally speaking, in build-up. But when he's on a yellow card after a couple of minutes, they're going to target us even more. So like I said earlier, Joelinton will just come into that left-hand area, and they were overloading us, and Anthony Gordon was just running it past him. But I thought he grew into the game, even his pass. In terms of defensively, I thought for 30, 40 minutes, he was a lot better. He was getting walked past, because he even knew that even touched him, he would have got sent off. He was playing that with that sort of danger that he couldn't literally not touch him. Jurgen Klopp waved his hand at once around about the 70 mark, and he said, he just did this, because he tried to go for a tackle and he went out for a throwing, and Jurgen Klopp did this. That's for me, for an instruction saying, don't go anywhere near him, because normally you just take him off, but because he's so important to us in terms of making play, constructing play, making the assist, being the pre-assist, you simply can't take him off. So look, you have to be understanding, and that.
That's him too. But okay,
I thought defensively, when he stopped inverting today, it was generally high and wide, and Szoboszlai was a lot in the central areas, Gene. When he was more disciplined I thought his defensive positioning and general defensive play was a lot better.
It was a
But
lot
when
better.
he,
Look,
yeah,
it was, but Asim, the guy's made out of the 3 games. He's made 2 mistakes, which is left to goals.
of course,
That's the
but that's not
problem.
defending.
Regardless of what it
Today
is,
was defending, but
yeah.
on the weekend it wasn't defending. He was in midfield and it was a bad touch. That's not bad defending. It's a bad
Asim,
touch.
then okay, if he's that good, look, I'm not. He's for me, he's the best right back in the world, and I'll always defend him. But you can't run away from the fact that the kid's made 2 horrendous errors in the first 3 games of the season. And okay, look, we will. I'm not saying he's it's been easy for him, obviously, with this new thing that we're trying, all that sort of thing. But you can't make errors at the highest level. These type of errors, two in 2 games.
Can I address this? Jay says that's his job though, Asim, but that's not his job. Only job. His main job. Jurgen Klopp, even in transition, tells. How many times have you seen it at Anfield, Gene? Yeah, even the cop going crazy.
Yeah, of course, because
Trent, get back. Trent, get back.
Yeah.
But Jurgen Klopp has told us that I've told him that he needs to be the first out ball when the ball breaks loose. We want to give it to Trent, to someone on the halfway line, and then to Salah. That is our structure. So if you're given an instruction to be the out ball in attacking transitions, you have to put that on Klopp. You can't put it on Trent. If he's facing play all the time, he's a lot better defender, as we saw it today. There was a few one-on-one situations with Anthony Gordon.
He
stood him up.
Well.
Yeah,
he
stood him
well.
up.
I'm going to give him credit.
And he shielded him. So look, that's not his only job. But like I said, you want him to be the inverter. You want him to be the player high and wide. And then even at certain points of the attack, we want him to be our Kevin De Bruyne overlapping on the right side channel. Like, what do you want him to be? How many sort of responsibilities are you going to put on one single player? He's a controller, he's the inverter, he's the accelerator. How many? And he's the defender.
So how can we call him a right back then? How can we call Trent Alexander?
He's not a conventional right back. It's a risk and reward. The amount of sort of output that he's going to give us in that position, whether he's high and wide or he's inverting, you have to take the rough with the smooth over a season, because over a season there'll be a lot more good than bad. That's my sort of thing. Is he the greatest defender out there? No, but look at his role as well. That's what you have to provide a bit of context to it. That's all I'm saying.
No, guys, I know you mentioned that, but you know what? I think in terms of the game, I think we need to give some shout outs to certain players today who we thought were brilliant. And me personally, and obviously, I think I'll give it to you. Go to you in terms of how well you thought Dom was today, because I thought he was sensational, man. And to be honest with you, I think the reason why I want to start with Dom, Asim, is because there was a comment that I saw earlier, and it just completely baffled me. This comment. I don't know who Ekan is. I don't know where you're from. You seem like you're a Man City or a United fan, but I want to bring this up because
this guy's either a Man City fan or a United fan.
Yeah, there you go. He's joking when he's saying that Bruno Fernandes is all of this, fair play. But anyway, I want to bring this up anyway. But I wanted your thoughts on Dominic Szoboszlai today, because I thought he was amazing.
He was absolutely amazing. Look, Darwin will get the headlines, and rightly so. But when you take a step back, I thought Szoboszlai was the best player on the pitch. He covered every blade of grass, Gene. And I think I tweeted it out earlier that he went deep to make play. He drove us forward. He enticed defenders when we needed a breather. He brought us a foul. And how many roles and how many different positions did he play today? He played 6. He played in the double pivot. He played in the right half space. He was overlapping. He was covering from Trent. And then he had a little bit of a stint on the left-sided midfield as well, cutting in from those left-sided channels. And he was absolutely brilliant. And what a player. If you didn't think that we had a superstar last week, you most certainly saw it now. People were saying it's only Bournemouth. Well, he produced it against 10 men, against one of the most intense teams in the country, and away from home as well. What a buy. What a buy.
I think this is the comment where Georgie says he saw calm and stabilizing the ball is class. That is the comment. This is what he brings us, Sarib. This is what in terms of what I've seen of him, this is what he brings us.
No, generally, Chin, I have not, in the 3 games I've watched him, I can't tell you one time I remember him losing the ball. There was one against Bournemouth where he lost it and he kind of he went on the ground and he still got the ball away to the midfield player. I forgot who he passed it to, but he simply doesn't lose the ball. The way he drives with the ball, the way he dribbles with the ball, he's so strong, he's so fast, he's so powerful. He's everything what Oxlade-Chamberlain was supposed to be for us, and we've got it now in Dominic Szoboszlai. And it's so like refreshing that we finally got someone from midfield.
Comparison, I'm actually impressed with the comparison, because you're right. That's what Ox was supposed to bring us, give us that energy up and down. And to be fair to Oxy, I think he did provide us that with 3 months before the injury, because he got us goals, he got us them long range efforts, that which we're hoping to see from Szoboszlai as well going forward. But he was, for me, he's an unbelievable footballer.
I think
you mentioned. Sorry,
so carry on.
The thing is, Asim, where when he receives the ball in anywhere on that pitch, he can pick a pass. He can, and he just gives you with the comment, he just brings a calmness to you, and he'll make that pass. He's not scared to receive it anywhere on that pitch. You get certain players that receive it, they don't know where to go. He's already made up his mind where the pass is gonna go before he receives it. So what a player we've got there, man. I'm just over the moon in terms of us signing him, because I was a bit worried at the start. Pre-season he didn't have the best because of obviously that little ankle roll, and we didn't really see the best of him. And we thought, maybe there was even calls where we thought, maybe Curtis Jones should start the first game, ease him in sort of thing. But obviously with him being injured, we didn't have any choice but to start him. But I'm so glad that he was ready and rough and ready to go, sort of thing.
He can play any game. He's calm in possession, explosive in possession, calm off it as well. He can put a shift in. He's covering his teammates. What attribute does this lad lack? Absolutely nothing. And we were talking about, like, is he too direct on that side? And we were sort of looking at McAllister and Szoboszlai at the start of the game, weren't we? And we having a joke around amongst ourselves, like, is he on the left? Is he on the right? And I definitely wanted Klopp to keep that dynamic, because it just works a treat with Salah, Trent, and Szoboszlai. It's probably one of the best right-sided sort of trio in world football for me. That's how good it is in terms of technical ability. What attributes do we lack, in that trio? So I think long may it continue. We'll see. And this guy, once he starts banging a few, worldies in, and his confidence grows as well, even though he doesn't show he lacks confidence, he will only get better. And you're right. When we were getting pressed with from Newcastle, he's probably the only player, and we're coming to McAllister, as there's been a few comments saying why we're not talking about McAllister and we should take our Argentinian vests off that we're hiding underneath. But that's a question to you, Gene. In terms of Szoboszlai, he can accelerate play. He can be very, very slow. He can keep things ticking over, recycling play, resetting play. And once he took the ball on the touchline, he oozed class when he sort of chested it down. Yeah. And the best thing about it, defenders don't want to go near him, because if you get near him, he'll skip past you as well, because he's got that ability. He's got every single attribute. And honestly, he's going to set Anfield alight. He's going to set the Premier League alight. And long may it continue, like I said. McAllister, Gene, take your Argentinian vest off.
Look, I said
he was poor. He was poor today, especially for 30 minutes.
He was really poor, and I expected a lot more from him, even a lot more so today, because the first 2 games he played in the 6, so I was like, fine, that's not a position that he likes to play. Let's say but today he was going to be in his more favored position. But again, Asim, you're down to 10 men after 23 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge McAllister. I know he's not been great. I'm not going to sit here and defend the kid, but. And again, I expected a lot more from him, but I want to see McAllister a lot more in that role where he prefers the 8-stroke 10. Have you got a bloody bird following you or someone on you, mate? Who's this Abzal Ibrahim?
I don't know, man.
Sarib, have you got your burners in tonight?
Oh man, I don't know.
I thought I'd make you blush.
Anyway,
Why
you got to? I ignored the comment as well. I let it go. I thought hopefully you didn't see that.
Do you think I was gonna ignore it?
Because that's sad. But McAllister said, look, he wasn't great today. But again, 23 minutes in, he did lose the ball a few times. I felt he was hugging onto the ball a few times. Yeah. And again, that midfield, as you mentioned earlier, it was so clogged up that he struggled in terms of making anything happen. But look, we've all seen him play for Brian, and we know what type of footballer he is, and he will come good. Even I think once we have 11v11, and now if we do buy an actual 6. Yeah. with Endo, or hopefully somebody comes in over the next 5 days, we'll definitely see a different McAllister, because the guys don't come back and say, I don't want anybody to think, oh, you should be starting next game or anything like that, because we have a world beater. We've just Szoboszlai's hit the ground running straight away. This guy will tear the Premier League once he gets going.
100%. Sarib, look, it's probably a bit unfair on McAllister. One day he's playing 6, the other day he's playing 8/10. But I thought, you know, for the first 20, 30 minutes, he was slightly hogging the ball. And when you hog the ball, Newcastle are going to swarm you with their intensity and press. So we played into their hands a little. And when we were in possession, I think he was a bit too eager to find the perfect pass. Sometimes you have to go sideways. I was screaming at Liverpool, just bloody pass the ball sideways for about a bit, and then entice them with the right pass at the right time. And we were going down the middle too many times, and we were avoiding the easy pass on the sides. But I think Mac will look. I think we're sort of clutching our straws here. He had a bad 30 minutes because we're not seeing a bad 30 minutes from McAllister this season. But we're only sort of addressing it because, you know, there's comments here saying why we're not talking about McAllister. McAllister is a baller. He will be one of our best players, no doubt about it, this season, and be one of the best signings in the Premier League for me when it comes, you know, at the end of May.
Absolutely agree with everything you said there. McAllister will come good for Liverpool. I think it's a bit unfair, like you said, to judge him on the last 3 matches, because he's been in a very stop change Liverpool team where 1 week he's playing with no 6, another week's playing as a 6, another week's playing off the right, left, wherever it is. It's all scattered around for him at the moment. I think when you have midfielders with the dynamic of McAllister and Szoboszlai, you need, someone made a comment, you need a player like Caicedo. Mac needs a Caicedo, that type of player, someone that can just intercept the ball with like, I think Fabinho, Szoboszlai, McAllister would have been a very, very good midfield. That would have worked to a T. I think McAllister's got to do a lot more defensive responsibility now, because with Endo, he's not very physical in there. He's like we spoke about Endo before. But I think with time, McAllister, he will come good. I think today, yeah, he did hug the ball a bit longer. He wasn't intricately passing the ball. Like you said, we wanted him to pass the ball a bit wide when he kept getting lost. But there was a time where there was one point he tracked his runner all the way to the byline, and he did well. And there was a time I thought he was going to give it away, but then he gave it to Alisson, who got it away. So I think that kind of thing will take time. I think when Liverpool have a proper 6 in there that can break up the play, I think that won't be a big of an issue. But he wasn't particularly great. I do agree with saying, obviously you was at the game, I was watching from TV, so your perception might be different. But no, he didn't set the world alight. But I can't really blame him. It's very similar to the Gakpo against Chelsea situation, where the right personnel was not there for him to live up to his best potential.
That's fine. I think in terms of the other players that you wanted to speak about, who I thought did well today, I think we've touched on a few, but the other couple that I wanted to speak about, number one was Harvey Elliott when he came on. In terms of what you made of his performance today, Asim, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah, is this dry cough that's been doing my head in for weeks now. Gene, just before we go on Harvey Elliott, Ash, a regular supporter of the channel, he says, rumor is Szoboszlai didn't get on the coach and he ran back to Liverpool. The kid has cardio for days. We got a special kid there. Get a real 6 and unleash Szoboszlai. We've been just touching on it. I always seem to miss Ash. He keeps on giving super chats.
I feel sorry for Ash. He's going to do you ready one day. He's going to give you a call. Say what they did.
So I'm very sorry, Ash, but I just remembered that there was a super chat to go to. I start him because I think I probably need to get better at it. I need to put them up straight away, whether it segues into a completely different subject, then so be it. But thank you very much for that super chat. And long may it continue. Szoboszlai is a special player, and we're going to see a lot more special moments from him. Ash is a legend, Atik says. He certainly is. Harvey Elliott, Gene, I thought he was brilliant. We needed someone, I don't want to call him a headless chicken, but we needed someone to sort of get himself about. And it was that moment that we could risk a few bit more. He even played in deeper areas, I think.
Yeah,
we thought, you know what? The DM's sort of role has been in question and been talked about so much over the last month or so at Liverpool. I thought, there was a moment where Klopp thought, fuck it, we play without a DM. And because we could. It was a moment in the game where we thought, you know what, let's just lose the game 2-3-0, at least go for it. And the 80th minute, and Jake, big shout out to you again about mentioning it. At 80th minute, we've got 10 minutes to risk it now. Whether we lose 2-3-0, so what? But Harvey Elliott and Jota gave us those connecting points in the pitch, and even I think it was who won the he won the ball, didn't he? He won the
Yeah,
ball for the second
yeah.
game for the second goal. Sorry, and he gives us that. He snaps in, he puts his leg in, and he can press. He gets himself about, and I think he's not really pushing for a starting berth now in the team.
Two very, very good performances off the bench since he's come on this season.
His problem is Szoboszlai, Gene. Where do you play him? Harvey Elliott, I don't want him on the left-hand side. It doesn't give us the balance. McAllister or Kurt McAllister or Curtis Jones is a lot better from that. The only problem he has at the moment is Dominic Szoboszlai. But I think once we start playing Europa League games, he'll get some minutes on the game. But he's a brilliant option to have on the front bench. And if he keeps impacting games like this, like he's doing today, and he keeps on doing that, he'll keep giving Jurgen Klopp a headache. And it can only mean a good thing for Liverpool, Sarib.
Absolutely, man. The more the merrier, I guess. The more options we got, the better for us. Elliot, I've always been impressed with Harvey Elliott. It's been tricky for him the last couple of years because we all thought he was going to be the kind of the understudy to Salah to play on the right wing, but he's been transitioned to this sort of 8-8 role, which suits him quite well. I know Klopp likes to play a lot. I know he threw him in against Inter Milan away, which is after he just came back from a long-term injury. So you can see how much faith Klopp has obviously got in him. But with Elliot, I think he needs to add more output to his game. I know he offers us a lot. He's good control of the ball. He gets forward into the wide areas because that's where he played as a youngster as well. But I think the problem with him, he doesn't offer enough output, not enough goals, not enough assists from midfield, which I think Dominic Szoboszlai will offer, like what Curtis Jones offers. I don't think Elliott can do that. And I think if he adds that to his game, I think we've got a serious conversation to be asked whether we can fit the likes of Szoboszlai and Harvey Elliott in the same team even. But like you said, the barrier at the moment is Dominic Szoboszlai in front of Harvey Elliott. But it's a very, very good problem to have for Jurgen Klopp, just like we have in our attack. But I guess we'll see.
Asim, mute.
He loves it, isn't it?
Is his dry cough? Is his dry cough? It's annoying me. But Gene, do you think we look at a team with a lot more control in possession when Harvey Elliott's on the pitch? Because he'll make a lot more lateral passes than any other player.
One thing that I've seen since he's come on this season is I've turned a lot more from Harvey Elliott is Asim is his long range passing has been really, really good over the last couple of games. And we saw that even in pre-season, there was clips where he made some amazing passes. I think he does definitely offer us a lot more control in that sense. And I think Ricky was speaking to, I think it was a few days ago, we were talking about Harvey Elliott. He does possess that because he knows how to keep play ball. Let's put it that way. He knows how to keep a ball. He knows how to keep it ticking. The pass before the assist sort of thing. He can do that. But there's been a few instances now where his switch of play has been really, really good. And look, I really, really like him. He's still a young kid. He's still. I know we know. Look, you mentioned he's got Dom in front of him. Is there a way where we can bring him in? Look, maybe not this season. But in seasons to come, if he does really, really well this season, the way he just needs to keep on going because you just need momentum and you just need to keep on churning out performances, and hopefully there'll be some sort of place for him and he'll have a proper future at Liverpool. Liverpool right now, though, Asim is going to struggle because he's up against Mac and Mac Jones on that side, and then Szoboszlai, Pulija, you ain't getting in. But all you can do is keep knocking on the door, and as long as this lad keeps knocking on the door. You never know. There might be an instance where Dom might play on the left hand side, and he might play in certain games, and Harvey Elliott plays on that side, which is his favorite sort of position. But he was brilliant, So every time he's come on, he's done really, really well, and that's all he can do is keep knocking on the door.
What do you think, Asim?
Look, I just said it. Look, if he keeps giving a headache to Jurgen Klopp, then 100%, I don't mind him. I think he's not at that point at the moment. If you look at his stats in terms of recoveries, counter press recoveries, the pre-assist, like G mentioned, excuse me, it's really annoying me today. I need some water. But if you look at his pre-assists as well, the pass before the assist, he really, really, sort of fares well in all those stats. But in the assists and the goals, when you're playing as effectively a fourth attacker, when he started playing in that half space on the right hand side, you're getting more fans, especially, and even the management want to see output in the assist and goals column, especially if you're going to sacrifice him. So it's that risk and reward, isn't it? If you're going to play that, then you need a bit more. And Odegaard, for example, and that's the level that he needs to hit. Odegaard showed that level where he needs to go. But obviously, he's got a few years on him. Whether he reaches that level remains to be seen. But if he keeps doing what he did today, then it can only mean a good thing. And he keeps knocking on that manager's door, then it can only mean a good thing for Liverpool. But he's not a winger for me. He's not a winger. To be a winger, you need to go on the outside. He can't go on the outside. He lacks a yard or two of pace. So where do you play him? Where do you play him? He's a natural 10, but we don't play a 4-2-3-1 system. He plays a 4-3-3. He's only going to play on that right-sided role. So, yeah, maybe he needs to add a bit more physicality, natural physicality, a bit of muscle maybe. But, yeah, I like him. When you've got 10, 15 minutes to play, whether you're protecting a lead or even chasing a game, he really, really hassles the opponent. And he was absolutely brilliant today alongside Quensa as well. I think Joe Gomez had a decent game. And we also mentioned Diogo Jota. Well, have we left a player out? It'll be rude and won't be right.
To be fair, I think, look, you have to speak about Quans. I think Jota, that was a brilliant performance from Jota. The cameo that he played today was unbelievable. And I've actually gone to town on Jota, and I was the first one. I wanted him out of the team because I think he was that good. I know he didn't play that well, or he might have got his goal last week, but fair play to him today. I thought he was sensational when he came on. But we have to speak about Quans, Asim, to come in a game like this. And Joe Gomez. Got to give Joe Gomez his flowers as well today, because defensively, especially with Van Dijk playing centre back, I thought he had a fantastic game. There wasn't many occasions where I thought he put a foot wrong. And look, Joe Gomez is a weird one, because we all knew how good he was a few years ago, but we've all turned around and said he's shit because he just hasn't done it since that injury. And that's the truth. I'm not gonna mince me my words. I've just turned around. I was the first one to admit and say, you know what, he's just finished, because I thought that injuries, just basically done him in, sort of thing. But he came in today and he put on an unbelievable performance, especially with him and Matip. No Konate and Van Dijk, your first two centre backs out within the first 25 minutes of the game. You're down to 10, and to put up a performance like that, you got to give the man his flowers. But
there were some moments where we looked at each other. We were very close to some Joe Gomez moments. He thought, you know what, Joe, chill out. Don't be Joe Gomez. Don't have those, brain farts. But you have to give his credit that against 10 men, he sort of ushered a lot of the attackers out of the way. He saw play out. He read the game, and he has that recovery pace. I know he's had, a few long-term injuries, but he still has that. And in this system, he could be really, really useful for us, Sarib. Right side, left side. He's got versatility, and he's got the pedigree because he's done it before. Whether you think he can't do it anymore, but I still think if we're not going to buy a centre-back, he just needs to stay fit, because there'll be plenty of opportunities to really stake a claim in, whether it's around the right-hand side, it'd be a bit of a conventional role, or even, covering Robertson, from the time to time. But I thought he was good today because he read the game well.
No, absolutely. And it's a shame with Joe Gomez, because I genuinely thought this guy would be a future Liverpool captain. He had all the credentials to be a leader, pace, powerful. Yeah, I thought he was that good of a defender when he was playing alongside Van Dijk. I thought 24 years old, he's only going to get better from here. Injuries have absolutely derailed his whole career. This guy should be the starting centre-back at Liverpool. That was the hope for Joe Gomez when he first signed for us under Brendan Rodgers. He was going to be that player which commands that Liverpool back for England's future centre-back, the whatever it was for Liverpool. I genuinely thought that this guy could be Liverpool's captain, him or Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's how good he was. And today he showed he still has quality. He showed it last season. I specifically remember a game that we played at Man City at home. Haaland didn't have a sniff. He was amazing in that game, Joe Gomez. He is very, very quick. I know he hasn't got that yard of pace anymore that he did pre-injury, but I think it's very weird because he can drop a 10 out of 10 and then go and drop an absolute stinker the next weekend.
That's his biggest problem, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with Joe Gomez.
Issue right now. It's consistency.
Can he carry on doing it again and again and again and again? Like you said, he's got the brain fart moments. Can he get out of his game? Because if he gets out of his game, I don't think there's a claim that he starts for Liverpool.
This is the problem when you talk about Joe Gomez. Every single person mentions Gomez. They talk about 1920. It's about 3-4 years ago. That's the problem.
Yeah, but he did have a long-term injury in 2021 as well.
Yeah, of course.
2022, he couldn't get back in the team because Matip was too good. Konate was excellent. And last season he had his chances because we had so many injuries. Can he finally stake a claim? I think if this is not going to work for Joe, because he's not going to leave. He signed a 5-year contract. He's not leaving Liverpool, Joe Gomez. He signed a 5-year contract last summer. He's not leaving anytime soon. But I think if it doesn't work out this season, I think it's time to cash in on him. I think right now his value could be high because he's quite young. He's English.
Yeah.
He can still play at the Premier League level. I think a team like West Ham could be in for him. But it's now or never for Joe Gomez, really. Can he stake himself to be that Liverpool centre-back? I think it's an open shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the only other player before we go is
Gene, my throw has probably got.
No, we cannot go. I'm good, Sarib. We cannot.
I've even put my. I've got my nail around now as well.
The world, Alisson today. Come on, man. It'd be a disservice to the show if we didn't.
Alisson is the best goalkeeper in Premier League history. Clip that all you. Alisson is the best goalkeeper in Premier League history. He is the most complete goalkeeper that's ever played in our league. He might not be the best shot stopper or the best with his feet.
He is the best shot stopper. That's one thing I can guarantee you.
Right. He is the best shot stopper. But as an all-round package, he is the best keeper that's ever played for our club. He's the best keeper to land in this league, and he's the best keeper in the effing world.
Gene, how do you follow that up? How do you follow that up?
I agree with him. I'm gonna say and say, look, bro, when Alberon hit that shot, I thought it was in. I ain't lying to you, Asim. I thought it was in from where we were. I thought it was in, but you know what a save. And you know the amount of times he saves is week in, week out, man. So you know it's only fair that we had to speak about him today. It was an unbelievable save, and even I think even towards the end he pulled off a couple of decent saves as well. He's definitely the best goalkeeper in the world right now. There is no question.
With Alisson, Gene, I think one of his best qualities is he makes like decent strikes look shy because he just smothers them. Because his reading of the game and his positioning is unbelievable. He's obviously one of the best keepers in the world. Like, Sarib says, he comes out and he makes himself big. And he has a massive, massive presence. But in terms of like how many shots that were there outside the box today, so many other keepers would parry him away, make him look difficult. He just literally smothers them and you're calm because you know what? You've got Alisson behind you. What a keeper, what a player. And I love that interview where they asked him today, sum up your day with one word. And guess what he said? Nunez. What a man. By the way, we can go an extra 10 minutes now because I've got some tea with honey.
I'm going. You can have your tea. I'm going now.
Sorry, shall we carry on? Well, only joking aside, I'm absolutely starving as well. I'm absolutely starving. We had a little cheeky Dixie in Newcastle. Atik would know what a Dixie is. Do you have a Dixie down south, Sarib?
I've got one down the road.
Yeah. I've not had a Dixie for a while, and for those who know me, I used to live in Newcastle as well, and Dixie was a regular spot I used to be at. But I took a trip down memory lane today, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm absolutely starving. That was around about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and yeah, thank you very much.
You can like and subscribe before they go.
They are gonna like, man.
And
we want to.
If you don't know, do like, do subscribe. The road to 10K. We're trying to get there as soon as possible.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. We are reloaded. We are re-energized. The Reds are reloaded. The Reds are re-energized. We were absolute the business today. So all we need is to attack the market, and you never know what is possible. Have a good night and take care.
Take care, guys.